Alex Carter had it all: power, wealth, and a twisted plan to secure his legacy. He lured women into his orbit, promising love, marriage, and a future. But in reality, they were just pawns in his game. He left them heartbroken and pregnant. But what he never saw coming? These women weren't victims. They were his downfall. One by one, they uncovered his lies. And when they joined forces, they didn't just ruin him, they destroyed everything he built. Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from. And if you believe in karma, be sure to like and subscribe for more. The lounge pulsed with a quiet, controlled energy, the kind that belonged to men who didn't beg for power. They owned it. The air, rich with hushed negotiations worth millions. Laughter, practiced and polished, came from women draped in silk and diamonds. Alex Carter walked in, and the atmosphere shifted. He didn't need to demand attention. It was given. Eyes flickered toward him, some with desire, others with envy, most with fear. He moved through the crowd with effortless command. Waitresses straightened their posture, heels clicking an inch closer in the hope of catching his eye. He didn't spare them a glance. At the back of the room, tucked away in a private booth, two men were already waiting. Jameson Black sat with the kind of stillness that suggested he was always 3 steps ahead of the room. Early 40s, razor-sharp mind, and a reputation for being ruthless in silence. Across from him, Miles Carter lounged lazily, a smirk already playing at his lips. He was the opposite of his older half-brother, reckless where Alex was controlled, impulsive where Alex was precise. A glass dangled loosely in his grip, already half empty. Miles looked up, grinning. And here he is, the legend himself. Let me guess, another conquest? Alex slid into the booth, ignoring the waitress who lingered at the edge of the table, waiting for his order. She was blonde, stunning, perfect. She was also invisible. "I've made a decision," he said, voice smooth, deliberate. Jameson raised a brow, swirling his drink. "That's never good news." Miles leaned in, amused. "Come on, brother, spill. You're not thinking of running for office, are you? Because that would be a disaster." Alex's gaze sharpened, slicing through the room like a well-honed blade. "I need an heir." Miles coughed, nearly choking on his drink before laughing. "You? The father? Jesus, tell me you're joking." But Alex Carter never joked. "The Carter legacy doesn't end with me, but I won't waste time on love, romance, or marriage." He exhaled slowly, letting the weight of his next words settle. "So here's the game. The first woman to carry my child wins." A silence, heavy, unspoken tension crackling in the air. Jameson studied him for a long moment. "Wins what?" A slow smirk curved at the edges of Alex's mouth. "Me." Miles let out a low whistle, shaking his head in disbelief. "So what? You're just gonna sit back and let the best womb win? That's insane, even for you." Jameson leaned forward. "You do realize what you're setting up, don't you? This isn't a business deal. You're inviting chaos into your life." Alex took a slow sip of whiskey, savoring the burn, before meeting his old friend's gaze. "Chaos?" A flicker of amusement passed through his expression. "Jameson, I am chaos." Miles leaned back, the leather creaking beneath him as he considered the weight of his brother's words. "And what about the women? You think they'll just play along, no questions asked, no strings attached?" His eyes darkened. "They'll think they're winning. They'll think they're different. That's the beauty of it." His voice was smooth, unwavering. "They'll play into my hands, and by the time they realize the game, it'll be too late." Jameson exhaled sharply, shaking his head. "You've always been good at controlling the narrative, but people aren't stock prices or merger deals. They're unpredictable. Unpredictable can be managed, manipulated, controlled." The response was immediate. The weight of his words settled over the table, unshakable. "All right then," Miles said, lifting his glass in a mock toast. "Let's see how long it takes for this to blow up in your face." Jameson leaned in one last time, voice barely above a whisper. "Just remember, Alex, even kings can fall." "I'm not a king, Jameson." He set his glass down with a finality that echoed his words. "I'm a god, and gods don't fall." As he rose from the table, the room seemed to tilt in his favor. Conversations dipped, eyes followed his every move, but he barely noticed. He could already see the path ahead, clear as day. His legacy, his empire, his unbreakable will, and beyond that, women, already being drawn into his orbit, like moths to a flame. They didn't yet know the game they were entering, but they would. Soon, the game had begun. Alex Carter never rushed the hunt. He preferred precision, letting desire bloom like a slow-burning fire. 5 women, 5 weaknesses, and he would exploit each one perfectly. Emily twirled a strand of honey-blonde hair between her fingers, a nervous habit she wasn't even aware of. Across from her, Alex leaned back against the velvet booth, his gaze heavy with amusement. "Paris in the spring," he murmured, swirling the wine in his glass. "There's nothing like it. The rain, the smell of fresh bread in the morning, the way the Seine glows at night." Emily's blue eyes widened, the corners of her lips curving into a dreamy smile. "I've always wanted to go." He studied her, so easy to read, so desperate to be adored. She had grown up surrounded by luxury, but had never been valued beyond her last name. What she wanted wasn't just wealth, she wanted romance. "Then we'll go," Alex said simply, his voice like silk. "Next month, just us." Her breath hitched. "Really?" A soft chuckle. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing against hers. "When have I ever lied to you?" Never, she would think. She would be wrong. Jasmine sat across from him, arms crossed, her dark eyes sharp and unreadable. Unlike Emily, she wasn't here to be swept away. She was here to challenge him. "You're full of shit," she said, taking a slow sip of her drink. Alex smirked. "You wound me, counselor. Don't give me that look." She set her glass down, tilting her head. "You manipulate people. It's what you do. You collect women like assets. Am I wrong?" A lesser man might have flinched. Alex merely exhaled, thoughtful. "You think I don't care about the women in my life?" Jasmine studied him for a long moment before shaking her head. "I think you convince yourself you do." That was the thing about smart women. They always thought they had him figured out. He leaned forward, his voice dipping lower. "Maybe I just need someone who doesn't let me get away with my bullshit." Her lips parted slightly, as if she wanted to say something but hesitated. He smirked. That hesitation? It meant she was already falling. Mia gripped the railing, her fingers numb from the cold. She wasn't supposed to be here. She wasn't supposed to want this. Behind her, Alex poured 2 glasses of whiskey, his movements unhurried, precise. "You don't have to go back there, you know." Her shoulders tensed. "Back where?" "The diner, the tiny apartment, the overdraft notices." His voice was smooth, free of pity. "I could take care of it, take care of you." Mia turned slowly, her dark eyes guarded. "And what would you want in return?" Alex handed her a glass, watching her carefully. "Nothing you wouldn't be willing to give." That was the trick. Never force the choice. Make them believe it was theirs. She stared at the drink in her hands, torn between fear and the undeniable pull of something better than survival. He already knew her answer. Sophia traced the rim of her glass, her fingers trembling. "Do you remember when we used to talk about running away?" Alex chuckled, shaking his head. "You wanted a cottage in the countryside. I wanted to build an empire," she finished bitterly. "And you did." Their gazes met, and for the first time in a long time he saw it in her eyes. Not anger, not heartbreak, something worse. Hope. Sophia still thought he could change. He reached across the table, brushing a strand of auburn hair from her face. "You were always the one who understood me best." She exhaled shakily, leaning into his touch. "Then why didn't you choose me?" He could have lied, could have told her what she wanted to hear. Instead, he kissed her. Because sometimes, words weren't necessary. Natalia? Natalia was different. She lay on the silk sheets of his bed, wearing nothing but the remnants of the night before. Most women, all of them in fact, fell into one of 2 categories: those who chased him, and those who waited to be chased. Natalia was neither. Alex sat beside her, running a hand down her thigh, tracing the curve of her hip. "You never ask me for anything." She smirked, reaching for her wineglass. "Should I?" He studied her. She was the only one he couldn't quite figure out. "You're different." "Am I?" He nodded. "The others," he exhaled, amused. "They want to win me." Natalia took a slow sip of wine, her dark eyes unreadable. "And what do you think I want?" Alex leaned in, pressing a kiss to the curve of her shoulder. "I haven't decided yet." She smiled against the rim of her glass, as if she knew something he didn't. Alex Carter was a master of control. He had Emily wrapped in romance. He had Jasmine doubting herself. He had Mia desperate to believe in something better. He had Sophia clinging to ghosts. And Natalia? Natalia, he thought, was his greatest mystery. But that was the thing about mysteries. Sometimes, they weren't meant to be solved, and sometimes, they were the ones solving you. Alex Carter moved like a man with the world at his feet, effortlessly shifting between the women in his life, weaving a web of desire and deception so intricate that none of them noticed the threads tightening around them. Each of them believed they were special. Each of them believed they were winning, and that was exactly how he wanted it. The Parisian-style balcony overlooked the city, candles flickering in the warm evening breeze. Soft jazz hummed from the speakers, blending with the quiet hum of passing cars far below. Emily leaned against the railing, wrapped in nothing but his silk dress shirt, the sleeves falling over her delicate wrists. Alex emerged from the bedroom, rolling up the cuffs of his sleeves, his gaze sweeping over her like she was something he had already claimed. "You always do that," she murmured, smiling as she sipped from a wine glass. "Do what?" "Look at me like I belong to you." He came up behind her, resting his hands on her waist, his lips brushing just beneath her ear. "Don't you?" She shivered, leaning into his touch. "I want to." A lie she didn't know she was telling herself. He turned her gently, tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. The way she gazed up at him, so full of trust, of naive hope, was almost endearing. Almost. Then stop thinking, he murmured before pressing his lips against hers, deepening the illusion. She sighed into his mouth, letting him pull her into the fantasy. The rain pattered softly against the penthouse windows, casting streaks of silver across the dimly lit living room. Jasmine stood in front of the fireplace, arms crossed, an untouched glass of whiskey in her hand. "This is ridiculous," she muttered. Alex, lounging on the couch, smirked as he swirled the drink in his own glass. "You always say that right before you let me win." Her glare could have cut through steel. "You're infuriating." He set his glass down and rose, moving toward her in slow, deliberate steps. "And yet, you're still here." She turned to face him fully, jaw tight. "Maybe I like the fight." He was in front of her now, so close the space between them buzzed with tension and electricity. His fingers trailed along her wrist, up to her elbow, until he cupped the side of her face. "Then stop pretending you don't want to lose," he murmured. Jasmine exhaled sharply, a moment of hesitation, a flicker of doubt. Then she gave in. She kissed him like she hated him for it, fierce, consuming, full of defiance. He backed her against the wall, his hands tracing fire along her waist, her nails dragging across his shoulders. And just like that, he had her. The dim glow of hotel room lamps painted golden streaks across the silk sheets. Mia sat on the edge of the bed, legs curled beneath her, watching as Alex unbuttoned his cufflinks with practiced ease. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like," she mused, "if we were just normal?" Alex smirked, tossing his cufflinks onto the nightstand. "Define normal," she shrugged, playing with the hem of her dress. "A small apartment, a quiet life, no games, no power plays, just two people figuring things out." He sat beside her, lifting her chin with two fingers, his touch gentle but firm. "That's not who you are," he murmured. She inhaled shakily. "You don't know that." Alex leaned in, his lips brushing against hers. Not forceful, but patient, like he was letting her make the choice. But it was never really a choice. When she melted into him, sighing softly against his mouth, he knew she was already his, and she thought he was hers. The rain had stopped, but the air between them felt heavier than the storm outside. Sophia sat curled up on the couch, clutching a wine glass, her gaze distant. "You're different with me," she said softly. Alex, pouring himself another drink, glanced at her. "How so?" "You don't play games, not like with the others," he hummed, sitting beside her. "And why do you think that is?" She turned, searching his face, her hazel eyes full of something dangerous. "Hope." He lifted his hand to her cheek, brushing his thumb against her lips. "I don't want to hurt you, Sophia." Another lie. She reached for him first this time, pressing her lips against his, with the kind of longing that could ruin a person. The kiss was slow, filled with years of what could have been, and yet, she didn't see it. The way he kissed her back like he'd never stopped owning her. Natalia sat against the headboard, the silk sheets barely covering her, watching Alex with an unreadable expression. "You're thinking too much," he murmured, running a hand down her thigh. She smirked. "You don't like when women think?" He chuckled, leaning in to press a kiss to her collarbone. "Only when it works in my favor." She tilted her head, studying him as his fingers traced lazy circles on her skin. "And what happens when it doesn't?" He stilled for half a second, a flicker of something hesitant in his movements. Then, just as quickly, it was gone. "You tell me," he murmured, pulling her under him. Natalia let him, because unlike the others, she wasn't falling, she was waiting. Everything was perfect, every woman exactly where he wanted her. Until it wasn't. The first crack appeared like a whisper, small, almost unnoticeable. But Jasmine had built a career on noticing the smallest inconsistencies, the overlooked details, the quiet mistakes that collapsed entire cases. And now, she was starting to see them in Alex Carter. She stared at the email on her screen. A dinner reservation? Not unusual. Alex loved expensive, exclusive restaurants. But the name on the reservation list? Emily Carter. Her jaw tightened. It could have been a mistake, a mix-up by the system. But then she scrolled down. Another reservation. Different date, different restaurant. This time, Mia Carter. Her pulse quickened. Alex never mentioned being married, never even hinted at commitment. If he was using these women's names for reservations, it meant they weren't just flings. He was selling them all the same story. Her stomach twisted as she reached for her phone. She needed confirmation, and she knew exactly where to get it. Jasmine dialed Emily's number, forcing her tone to sound light, casual. It rang twice before a bright, airy voice answered. "Jazz, this is a surprise." Jasmine leaned back in her chair, crossing her legs. I know. We keep saying we should meet for lunch, but we never do. Thought I'd check in." Emily giggled. "I know, right? It's been crazy with Alex flying all over the place. I barely see him these days." Jasmine noted the detail. "Oh? He told me he's been in town all week." There was a brief silence. Emily recovered quickly. "Oh, yeah, I meant he's been busy with work." Jasmine smirked. There it was. She tapped her nails against her desk, playing along. "I get it. He's like that with me too." A pause. Then carefully she asked, "So, when's the Paris trip?" Emily's excitement was immediate. "Oh my God, did he tell you? I wasn't supposed to say anything yet, but yes, we're going next month. Jasmine's grip on the phone tightened. Paris. Alex had promised her Paris. The same month, the same fantasy. She inhaled slowly. Yeah, he might have mentioned something, just making sure it wasn't a secret. Emily giggled again. Honestly, I think he just likes spoiling us. Jasmine forced out a soft laugh. Yeah, I think so too. When she hung up, her fingers curled into a fist. He was playing all of them. Mia sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her phone. The balance in her account hadn't changed. Alex had promised he'd send the money by the end of the week. She told herself it was just a delay. Things like this happened, right? She tried calling him. It went straight to voicemail. Frowning, she texted instead. Hey, just checking in. Let me know when you're free. An hour passed, then 2. No response. Her gut twisted. Last week he'd been so present. The private dinners, the expensive gifts, the whispered promises that she'd never have to worry about money again. And now, silence. Mia hated that she was starting to doubt him. She hated the small, creeping voice in her head that whispered, "What if you were wrong about him?" Jasmine tapped her pen against the table, thinking. Emily had slipped up. The restaurant reservations confirmed her suspicions. And Mia was getting the same treatment. This was bigger than she thought. Much bigger. She scrolled through her contacts until she landed on a name she never expected to call. Natalia. Her thumb hovered for only a second before she hit dial. The phone rang once, then twice, then, Natalia speaking. Jasmine exhaled. I think we need to talk. A pause. Then Natalia's voice, smooth and unreadable. I was wondering how long it would take you to figure it out. Jasmine froze. Her pulse quickened. Natalia wasn't surprised. She wasn't confused. She had been waiting for this call. Jasmine leaned forward, her grip tightening around the phone. You knew? Natalia's chuckle was low, almost amused. Darling, I've known for a long time. The question is, what are you prepared to do about it? Jasmine's lips parted, but no words came out, because in that moment she realized this wasn't just about Alex anymore. This was something bigger, and she had just stepped into a game she didn't even know she was playing. The cafe was the kind of place where fortunes were made and reputations were destroyed. A high-end sanctuary for the elite. White linen tablecloths, gleaming chandeliers, and waiters who knew how to pour champagne without making a sound. Jasmine arrived first. She had chosen a corner booth, away from prying eyes. Her fingers drummed against the polished wood as she watched the door. She didn't have to wait long. Emily walked in, heels clicking against the marble, blonde hair bouncing in perfect waves. She was radiant, polished, effortless, and completely unaware of the trap she was stepping into. Mia arrived next, moving differently, cautious, uncertain. She wore a simple black dress, nothing extravagant, nothing expensive. A woman who wasn't used to being in places like this. Jasmine inhaled slowly, watching them take their seats. They didn't know it yet, but after tonight, nothing would ever be the same. Emily crossed her arms, her tone already defensive. So what's this about? Jasmine met her gaze, choosing her words carefully. It's about Alex. Emily's lips parted slightly before she forced a smile, shaking her head. If this is about him, I don't know why we're here. He wouldn't want us talking behind his back. Mia scoffed, sitting back. Sounds like something he told you to say. Emily's smile faltered. Excuse me? Jasmine slid her phone onto the table, screen glowing. I want you to look at something. She pulled up an email, a reservation confirmation for a private dinner. The date was last week. The name on the reservation? Emily Carter. Emily blinked, then frowned. Yeah? What about it? Jasmine swiped to the next email. Another reservation, different date, this time, Mia Carter. Mia leaned forward, her throat tightening. Emily's face froze. Jasmine's voice was calm, sharp, deliberate. Alex has been booking reservations under your names. Emily shook her head. No, maybe that's just a mistake. Jasmine's expression didn't change. Do you know what he told me last week? Emily hesitated. What? That he was in LA on business. Jasmine exhaled, leaning in. He wasn't. He was at a restaurant. With you. Mia's fingers clenched. That's funny, because he told me he was with an investor that night. Silence. Emily laughed, but it was forced. Okay, this is ridiculous. He's a busy man. Jasmine slid another receipt across the table. Alex had paid for a hotel suite, with Emily's name on the bill. Emily's expression cracked. Mia exhaled sharply, voice thick with disbelief. So it wasn't just me. Jasmine shook her head. It was never just you. It was never just any of us. Mia's face twisted, anger bubbling beneath her skin. I thought I mattered to him. Jasmine clenched her jaw. We all did. Emily shook her head, still grasping for an explanation. No, Alex wouldn't do that to me. He wouldn't. Emily. Jasmine's voice was sharper now. Wake up. Emily's hands shook. You don't know him like I do. Mia let out a bitter laugh. Oh, for God's sake, you think you're different? Emily glared. I am different. Mia slammed her hand against the table, making Emily flinch. He promised me things. He made me believe I could have a future with him. You think he only said those things to you? Emily's breath was unsteady. Jasmine watched her carefully. You don't want to believe it. I get it. But deep down, you already know. Emily's eyes filled with something dangerous. Not anger, not heartbreak, fear. Because she did know. She just didn't want to admit it. Well, this is interesting. The voice came from behind them. Smooth, amused, unreadable. Natalia. She slid into the booth like she belonged there, legs crossed, eyes glittering with something dangerous. Emily stiffened. What are you doing here? Natalia smirked. Enjoying the show. You're all so predictable. Mia frowned. What the hell does that mean? Natalia leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand. It means you're only figuring out now what I've known for years. Jasmine's gaze narrowed. And what exactly do you know? Natalia's smirk widened. That Alex Carter is a liar, a manipulator, and most importantly, she tilted her head. Not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. Before anyone could respond, another figure hesitated at the edge of the table. Sophia. Unlike the others, she didn't sit immediately. She stood there, gripping the strap of her purse like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Her voice was barely above a whisper. What's going on? Jasmine watched her carefully. Sophia had been the hardest one to reach, the one still clinging to the past. Mia looked away, jaw clenched. Emily remained frozen. Natalia just smirked, like she had been expecting this. Jasmine exhaled. Sit down. Sophia hesitated. Then finally she did. Her eyes flickered over the receipts, the emails, the proof. She swallowed hard. This doesn't mean anything, she whispered. Natalia tilted her head, studying her. You still believe he loves you, don't you? Sophia's breath hitched. Natalia leaned back. Oh, sweetheart, that's cute. The air inside Natalia's penthouse was thick with tension. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city skyline, but no one was looking at the view. The 5 women sat in a loose circle, wine glasses untouched, the weight of what they were about to hear pressing down on them. Natalia stood by the sleek marble kitchen counter, twirling the small USB drive between her fingers. This, she said, voice smooth and deliberate, is the moment your illusions die. No one spoke. Jasmine's jaw was tight, her arms crossed. Mia fidgeted with the hem of her dress, impatience bubbling beneath the surface. Emily sat rigid, gripping her wine glass like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. And Sophia? She hadn't said a word since they left the cafe. Natalia smirked. Last chance to back out. No one moved. She turned, inserted the USB into her laptop and pressed play. The voices came through sharp and clear. Jameson. So how long do you plan on juggling them? Alex, chuckling. As long as it entertains me. A cold chill ran through the room. The women stiffened, exchanging glances. But the recording continued. Jameson. And if one of them gets too attached? Alex, mocking tone. They always do. That's the fun part. First, they play hard to get. Then they think they're special. And then, a pause. Then a low, cruel laugh. Alex. Then they break. Mia's breath hitched. Emily's fingers trembled. Jameson. And when they do? Alex, unbothered. They either cling harder, or they walk away thinking they escape me. But the truth is they never really do. I own them long after they leave. Jasmine's grip tightened on the edge of the couch. Jameson. And what about the air thing? You still playing that game? Alex, amused, darkly playful. Of course. Tell a woman she could be the future Mrs. Carter, and she'll give you everything. The trick is making them think they've already won. Silence. A low clink of a glass being set down. Alex, smirking. They always think they have control. It's cute. Jameson. And what happens when one of them actually gets pregnant? A beat. Alex, flat, indifferent. Then I'll decide if I keep the kid. The woman? Replaceable. The recording cut off. No one spoke. The words hung in the air like poison, sinking into their bones. Emily's breathing was uneven, her entire world shattering in real time. No, she whispered, shaking her head. He wouldn't say that. He wouldn't mean it. Jasmine's voice was sharp, cold. Do you really believe that? Emily looked at her, desperate, searching. I know him. He cares about me. Mia let out a bitter laugh. He said the same thing to me. And me. Jasmine's jaw clenched. Sophia, silent until now, whispered, Me too. Emily's breath caught. Her hands trembled, gripping the couch cushion like it was the only solid thing in the world. He played all of us, Mia muttered, shaking her head. Like we were nothing. Sophia swallowed hard, staring at the now dark laptop screen. I thought I was different. Natalia exhaled slowly, watching them unravel. That's the trick, darling. He made all of us think we were different. Jasmine straightened, voice sharp with purpose. He doesn't get to walk away from this. Not this time. Mia looked up, fire in her eyes. We destroy him. Emily remained still, lost in her own thoughts. Sophia exhaled, voice fragile but steady. How? A slow, satisfied smirk curled on Natalia's lips. That's the easy part. She turned to Jasmine. Legally? Jasmine sat up, her lawyer instincts kicking in. I can pull financial records, NDA agreements, contracts he's made women sign without them realizing. I can find a way to bury him legally. Natalia nodded. then turned to Mia. You've had access to his accounts, haven't you? Mia hesitated. He's given me money, yeah, but I never… Doesn't matter. You've seen his habits, his patterns. That's useful. Mia sat back thinking. He keeps offshore accounts, shell companies. If we hit him where it hurts, we take his power. Natalia finished. Jasmine leaned in, mind racing. If we leak proof of his manipulations to the right investors, they'll pull out of his company. Stock prices will plummet. Mia's lips curled. And if he's broke, he's nothing. A silence stretched between them. Sophia exhaled slowly. And what about the rest? Natalia's smirk deepened. You let me handle that. Jasmine narrowed her eyes. You've been ahead of us this whole time. Why? Natalia picked up her wine glass, swirling the liquid before taking a slow sip. Because unlike you, I've known who Alex Carter really is for years. Mia frowned. What do you mean? Natalia tilted her head, studying them. You all want revenge. Her voice was smooth, controlled. But me? She set her glass down. I want justice. Emily looked up, confusion flickering across her tear-streaked face. Justice for what? Natalia's smirk faded, her expression turning sharp, cold. For someone who isn't here anymore. The room froze. Few days later, the 5 women sat around the glass coffee table, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the laptop screen. A digital map of Alex Carter's empire displayed in front of them. Jasmine spoke first. This is bigger than I thought. She tapped the screen, highlighting a series of files. I went through his business contracts. He's got NDAs for women he's been involved with, hundreds of them. Some are simple, designed to shut them up after a breakup. Others? She exhaled sharply. They're airtight, full legal control over their finances, property, even employment options. He doesn't just use women, he erases them. Mia, who had been scrolling through the financial data on her phone, tightened her grip on the device. He has offshore accounts, millions, money constantly moving between fake companies. Some of them are in the names of women he's been with. Her voice was quiet, angry. He's laundering money through them, making it look like they're complicit. Sophia's face paled. He's ruining their lives, and they don't even know it. Natalia smirked, though it didn't reach her eyes. And that's just the financials. She set her wine glass down, fingers tapping rhythmically against the table. I've been feeding information to select journalists, little breadcrumbs. She tilted her head. Give it another week, and the press will start circling. Once they smell blood, it won't take long before the scandal breaks. Emily shifted uncomfortably in her seat, arms crossed tightly over her chest. This feels extreme. All eyes turned to her. Jasmine arched a brow. Extreme? Emily hesitated. I get that he hurt us, but destroying him? Are we really doing this because it's right? Or because we want revenge? Mia let out a sharp laugh, shaking her head. Are you serious right now? She leaned forward, voice rising. He played us. He used us. He's probably out there doing the same thing to someone else as we speak. Emily's throat tightened, but she refused to back down. Still holding on to the fantasy? Natalia's voice cut through the tension like a blade. Emily flinched. Jasmine sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. We don't have time for this. She looked at Sophia. What about you? You've been quiet. Sophia's fingers curled around the stem of her glass. Her nails dug into the delicate crystal. She swallowed hard. I loved him once. Mia exhaled, her anger flickering. Sophia, no. Sophia's voice was stronger now, steadier. I'm not saying that to defend him. I'm saying it because I need you to understand how much it took for me to admit what he really is. She met Emily's gaze. You don't get over someone like Alex in a day, but that doesn't mean he deserves to walk away from this unscathed. Emily blinked rapidly, looking away. Natalia smirked. At least one of you has a working brain. Jasmine cut in, voice sharp. We need to move fast. The moment he senses something is wrong, he'll start covering his tracks. Mia nodded. We hit his business first. If we can freeze his accounts, he won't have the resources to fight back. Jasmine turned to Natalia. Can you push the press harder? Natalia lifted a brow. Please, by tomorrow morning, I can have whispers of a financial scandal making the rounds. By next week, it'll be a full-blown corporate nightmare. Investors will panic. His board will pressure him for answers. He won't have time to focus on us. Sophia tapped a finger against her glass. And when he does figure it out, Jasmine's lips pressed together. We make sure he has nothing left to fight back with. Emily's hands trembled in her lap. She closed her eyes, inhaling shakily. He's going to know it was us. Natalia smirked. Good. Emily shook her head. No, I mean, he's going to come after us. A cold silence settled over the room. Jasmine's grip on her tablet tightened. Mia looked down at her phone. It was Sophia who finally spoke. Then we make sure he never gets the chance. The first blow landed quietly. A whisper in the right ear, a document in the wrong hands, a single flick of a domino that would send Alex Carter's empire crashing down, and he didn't even see it coming. Jasmine sat in her office, bathed in the blue glow of her laptop screen. It was late, past midnight, but she wasn't tired. Not yet. She scanned the confidential contracts spread across her screen. documents that shouldn't exist, NDAs, hush money agreements, backdoor deals with investors, proof of corporate fraud, embezzlement, and unethical business practices. Perfect. She had spent days digging, using every legal loophole she knew to uncover the skeletons Alex had buried beneath his billions. Now, she would bring them to light. With a deep breath, she attached the files to an encrypted email and typed 3 addresses: the Securities and Exchange Commission, a top investigative journalist at the New York Times, the Federal Trade Commission. Her finger hovered over the mouse, a final moment of hesitation. Then she clicked send. The first strike was delivered. While Jasmine targeted Alex's reputation, Mia went after his money. She sat cross-legged on her bed, laptop balanced on her knees, fingers flying across the keyboard. She had always been good with numbers, but this was personal. She had accessed his accounts before, small transfers here and there, gifts that Alex had sent her without a second thought. He had made it too easy to track his financial movements. Now, she was about to make him regret it. She initiated a series of small transfers, moving money between Alex's offshore accounts and shell companies, but tweaking the numbers just enough to make it look like embezzlement. Not obvious enough for immediate detection, but enough that when someone looked, the irregularities would be undeniable. Her breath was steady. Her pulse wasn't. She knew that if Alex ever found out what she was doing, he wouldn't just ruin her. He'd destroy her, but he wouldn't find out. Not until it was too late. Natalia Carter didn't hack, and she didn't deal in legal files. She dealt in whispers. She sat at a private table in a 5-star restaurant. Across from her sat Charles Vance, a venture capitalist with deep ties to Carter Industries. He was old money, the kind of man who didn't like surprises. Natalia smiled, tilting her head slightly, watching him as he swirled the whiskey in his glass. "You didn't hear it from me," she said smoothly, "but word is, Carter Industries is about to be hit with an SEC investigation." Charles frowned, his grip tightening around the glass. "That's impossible. Carter's been untouchable for years." She sighed, shaking her head, as if she pitied him. "Maybe, but I have it on good authority that Alex has been reckless. Let's just say some people are talking." Charles narrowed his eyes. "What kind of people?" Natalia leaned in, voice soft, dangerous. "The kind that can freeze assets, the kind that make investors nervous, the kind that destroy reputations." She took a slow sip of wine, watching the seed take root. Charles exhaled sharply and pulled out his phone. "Maybe it's time I start moving my money somewhere safer," he muttered. Natalia smiled. "That's what I would do." She picked up her wine glass, barely concealing her satisfaction. The second strike had landed, and Alex, still oblivious. Alex Carter sat in his penthouse, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him. Something was off. His phone had been buzzing all day. Emails from his CFO, his legal team, his investors. Small things. Questions about missing transactions, concerns about a document leak. Nothing urgent, not yet, but something wasn't right. He leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing as he scanned his laptop. His bank account log showed irregularities. The transfers looked legitimate at first glance, but something felt wrong. He was missing money, not a lot, but enough. A muscle ticked in his jaw. He picked up his phone and dialed Jameson. The older man answered almost immediately. "Alex." "Something's off," Alex said, cutting to the point. There was a slight pause. "What do you mean?" "My accounts. My investors." He exhaled sharply, rubbing his temple. "I'm getting questions about SEC involvement." "Where the hell is that coming from?" Jameson's voice was calm. "I'll look into it." Alex's grip on the phone tightened. "Do it fast." Because for the first time in years, he felt something foreign. Something he hadn't felt since he built this empire. A whisper of loss of control. Alex was about to pour himself another drink when his laptop pinged. An anonymous email. He frowned and opened it. From unknown. Subject: "You're under attack." His pulse quickened. He clicked. The message was brief, direct. "Be careful who you trust. You're not as untouchable as you think." Alex's blood ran cold. His eyes scanned the email again, searching for clues. A name, a signature. Nothing. Just a warning. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. His paranoia sharpened. Someone was coming for him. He just didn't know who. Not yet. But when he found out, he would burn them to the ground. Alex stormed into his office, slamming the door behind him. Jameson sat at the conference table, as composed as ever, a neat glass of scotch in his hand. "You're going to tell me exactly what the hell is happening," Alex growled. Jameson didn't even blink. "Define happening," he said coolly. Alex's fingers curled into fists. "Don't play games with me, Jameson. My accounts are being flagged. My investors are nervous. And now, I get a mysterious email telling me I'm under attack. Who is doing this?" Jameson sighed, setting his glass down. "That's what I've been trying to figure out." Alex's eyes narrowed. He didn't trust anyone. Not anymore. Not even Jameson. Alex sat in his penthouse, scrolling through his contacts. The thought made his stomach twist. It had to be one of them. Emily? No. She was too soft, too fragile. She still believed in him. Mia? Possible. She'd always had that survivor's edge. Jasmine, she was smart, too smart, and too quiet lately. Then there was Sophia. Alex exhaled. She was the only one who had ever truly loved him. Could she have turned? No, not Sophia, but someone had, and he was going to find out who. Emily sat on her bed, Alex's name flashing across her screen. Her hands shook. She stared at the phone, heart pounding. He knew. The ringing stopped. A second later, a text appeared. "We need to talk. Now." She swallowed hard. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She could lie. She could pretend everything was fine. Or she could admit that she was part of the reason his empire was crumbling. Her chest tightened. She couldn't do this. She had to tell him. A firm hand snatched the phone from her grip. Emily gasped, looking up. Jasmine stood over her, eyes cold, unforgiving. "You're not calling him back." Emily's breath caught. I wasn't." Jasmine's voice was sharp as a blade. "You were about to, weren't you?" Emily looked away. Jasmine's jaw tightened. "Do you think he'll beg you for the truth? Do you think he'll hold you and say, 'It's okay, baby, I understand'?" She leaned in. "He will destroy you, Emily, just like he was going to destroy all of us." Tears burned in Emily's eyes. She wanted to believe Jasmine was wrong, but deep down, she knew she wasn't. With a trembling exhale, she deleted the message. Jasmine stepped back, satisfied. Good girl. Sophia sat alone in her apartment, staring at a framed picture. Her and Alex, from years ago, before she knew the truth. She traced the edges of the photo with her fingertip, memories rushing back like a cruel joke. She had spent so long convincing herself that what they had was real, that she had been the exception. But the recording, the evidence, it had shattered everything. Alex had played her, just like he had played the others. Her throat tightened. Alex Carter wasn't a man to be loved. He was a man to be destroyed. Jasmine was in her office, focused on finalizing the next wave of leaks. When her phone buzzed, she glanced down. "Meet me, now, Alex." Her stomach tightened. She hesitated. Then exhaling, she grabbed her coat and headed out. The rooftop bar was quiet, reserved for only the most elite. Alex was waiting when she arrived, his expression unreadable, a drink untouched in front of him. Jasmine slid into the seat across from him, crossing her legs, masking her nerves. Alex studied her, too long, too carefully. "You've been quiet," he said finally. Jasmine shrugged. "Busy." A ghost of a smirk flickered across his lips. "That's what I thought." A waiter appeared. Alex didn't look at him. "Leave us." The man hesitated, then he left. Now it was just them. Alex leaned in, his tone no longer light. "You wouldn't lie to me, would you, Jasmine?" Jasmine held his gaze. "No." "Good." He leaned back, swirling the whiskey in his glass. "Because if I find out someone I trusted is behind this, if I find out someone close to me is trying to tear me down," he set the glass down, firmly, "I'll bury them." The air between them was heavy. Jasmine's fingers curled into fists under the table, but her face remained unreadable. Alex studied her one last time. Then with a smirk he rose. "Enjoy your night." She didn't exhale until he was gone. The king was paranoid, which meant they were winning. Natalia's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. Time for the final move. Jasmine turned to her, frowning. "What's the plan?" Natalia tapped a file on her laptop. "We're going to offer Alex something he can't refuse." Mia leaned in. "A deal? A fake deal?" Natalia's smirk was razor sharp. "A business opportunity too good to ignore. Something that will make him desperate enough to jump in without looking." Jasmine exhaled slowly. "And then?" Natalia's eyes burned with satisfaction. "Then we watch him destroy himself." Alex sat in his office, phone buzzing with new messages. Potential new investment opportunity. Immediate payout. Need to move fast. His lips curved into a smirk. Maybe things were finally looking up. Maybe he was winning again. He clicked open, not realizing he had just stepped into the final trap. Alex Carter had built an empire on control. Every move calculated, every risk managed. But this deal? This was his way out. His entire world was closing in. Investors were hesitating, the media was sniffing around, and there were whispers of a federal investigation. His usual contacts were suddenly unavailable. He needed one last win, one last power move to remind everyone that Alex Carter did not lose. And then, the deal appeared. A private equity firm looking for a last-minute partner on a massive overseas investment. A short-term infusion of capital with a guaranteed double return in under a month. The firm had silent backers, inside government connections. No risk. It was perfect, too perfect. But Alex was too desperate to see it. He sat in his office scanning the investment proposal for the 10th time. Every line looked airtight. He had his lawyers verify the contracts. The signatures checked out. The opportunity was limited. He had 24 hours to buy in. He should have questioned it. He should have hesitated. Instead, he wired the money. All of it. Millions. The last unfrozen assets he had left. Everything. And in that moment, Alex Carter sealed his own fate. Natalia watched from across the city, perched in her penthouse, glass of wine in hand. The city lights reflected in her cold, satisfied gaze. The second Alex's transfer hit, she moved. She made one phone call. Anonymous tip to the SEC. Suspicious movement of funds from Carter Industries to an unregistered offshore entity. Possible money laundering. Anonymous email to Alex's board members. Your CEO just invested company money into a fraudulent deal. Investigate before it's too late. Text to Jasmine. It's done. Time for the next step. Jasmine, across town, smiled as she received the message. She picked up the phone. Time to make sure Alex never recovered. Jasmine sat in her sleek office, fingers flying across her keyboard. She had connections in the financial world, regulators, auditors, the right people in the right places. She made one call to an old friend at a financial crimes division. Offshore accounts, she said, voice low, controlled. Suspicious transfers, unregistered entities. If you freeze it now, he won't be able to move a cent before the feds catch up. Name? She exhaled. Alex Carter. A pause. Then, you're sure? Check the records yourself. A click. And just like that, Alex's fate was sealed. Mia had been waiting for this moment. She had spent weeks learning Alex's financial habits. She knew how he moved money, which accounts were connected, which ones he never checked. So while Jasmine ensured the transfer was flagged, Mia made sure the money was gone. Not just frozen, erased. She rerouted it through a labyrinth of transactions, shell companies that didn't exist, accounts that vanished into the digital void. By the time Alex noticed, the money would be untraceable. She leaned back, heart pounding, staring at the final confirmation on her screen. Transfer complete. Alex Carter's empire was officially bankrupt. The call came at 3 a.m. Jameson's voice was flat, unreadable. We have a problem. Alex shot up from bed. What? Jameson sighed. Your accounts are frozen. The SEC is launching an official investigation. A pause. And the deal? Alex's stomach twisted. What about it? It's fake. The words slammed into him like a freight train. He stood there, barely breathing. That's not possible. I checked it myself, Jameson continued. The investors don't exist. The signatures were forged. The money's gone, Alex. Alex staggered back, gripping the edge of the desk. No. This wasn't happening. Not to him. I can fix this, he muttered, more to himself than to Jameson. I can fix this. Jameson was silent. Then, you're on your own. Alex's breath caught. What? You heard me. Jameson's tone was final. I'm cutting ties. I suggest you lay low. The line went dead. Alex stared at the phone, disbelief turning to rage. Jameson had abandoned him. His money was gone. His company was imploding. His name was ruined. And worst of all, someone had done this to him. Someone had played him. And he knew exactly who. Alex paced his penthouse, gripping his phone so hard his knuckles turned white. One by one, he called them. Emily, no answer. Mia, no answer. Jasmine, straight to voicemail. Sophia. Finally, she picked up. Alex. Her voice was quiet, almost relieved. You knew, he hissed. You were part of this. A long pause, then. I was. Alex's blood boiled. I trusted you, Sophia. You used me, she whispered. And I let you, but not anymore. A sharp exhale. Then, goodbye, Alex. The line cut off. He threw his phone across the room. His empire was gone. His money was gone. And the women, they had won. But there was one left. One who had been ahead of him the whole time. Natalia. The city pulsed with midnight energy. Horns blaring. Tires screeching against wet pavement. Neon lights flickering over the rain-soaked streets. But for Alex Carter, the world had gone silent. The empire he had built was gone. His business, ruined. His money, vanished. His allies, abandoned him. His women, turned against him. And now, there was only one person left. Natalia. He drove through the empty streets like a man possessed, his grip so tight on the steering wheel, his knuckles turned white. She had set him up. Every move, every carefully placed step, she had orchestrated this. And now he would face her. Natalia stood in the dim glow of a rooftop terrace, leaning against a glass railing, watching the city she had just taken from him. The air smelled of rain and victory. She heard the elevator ding behind her. Footsteps, heavy, angry, desperate. She didn't turn. She smiled. You're late. Alex's breath was ragged. You set me up. Natalia finally turned, her expression calm, controlled. Of course I did. His hands clenched into fists. Why? She tilted her head, watching him like he was nothing more than a piece on a chessboard. You still don't get it, do you? She exhaled, shaking her head. Poor Alex. Always thinking everything is about money, power, control. She took a step toward him. This was never about that. He stilled. Natalia's smirk faded. Her voice dropped to a whisper, razor sharp. This was personal. Alex's heartbeat thundered in his ears. Who are you? He demanded. Really? Natalia chuckled. You don't remember, do you? Alex's jaw tightened. Remember what? She leaned in, eyes burning with something cold and lethal. Isabella? The name hit him like a bullet. His breath caught. His mind raced. Isabella. a face from years ago, a girl who had once believed every word he had whispered, a girl who had disappeared, his stomach twisted. That was, Natalia's voice was ice. That was my best friend. Silence, heavy, unbearable. Alex's pulse pounded. I didn't. Natalia's smile was razor sharp. Didn't what? Her eyes gleamed with something dark, something final. Didn't mean to destroy her? She let out a soft, humorless laugh. Didn't mean to break her until she had nothing left? Didn't mean to turn her into one of your little casualties? Alex couldn't breathe. Natalia's expression didn't change. You killed her, Alex. He took a step back. Natalia didn't move. You may not have put the rope around her neck, she whispered, but you tied every knot. His chest tightened. The room spun. Isabella, the girl with the softest voice and the biggest dreams, the one who had loved him more than she had loved herself. He had walked away, never looked back, and now her ghost had come for him. Alex's hands shook. This is revenge. Natalia's head tilted. No, she smiled. This is justice. Alex lunged, a flash of fury, a final act of desperation. But Natalia, she didn't flinch. She simply stepped aside. Alex stumbled forward, his rage turning into panic. You think you can do this to me? His voice cracked. You think you can just take everything from me? Natalia took a slow step forward. I already did. Alex's breath hitched. He had nothing left. Nothing. He sucked in a shaky breath, the weight of his downfall crushing him. Then his phone buzzed. His stomach dropped. He glanced down, fingers trembling as he opened the notification. Breaking news. Billionaire Alex Carter under investigation for corporate fraud. SEC confirms assets seized. Carter Industries in freefall. Multiple women come forward with allegations. Alex felt the ground beneath him vanish. His entire world was burning. Natalia just watched him unravel. A sudden flash of red and blue. Alex's head snapped up. Police sirens. Doors slamming. Footsteps. Approaching. Fast. His blood turned to ice. No, he whispered. Natalia's smirk deepened. I tipped them off, she said simply. Alex's stomach dropped. That investment deal you fell for? She let out a soft laugh. The final piece of evidence they needed. Your last act of greed. And you did it all by yourself. Alex spun around. 4 officers moved in. Alex Carter, one of them announced. You're under arrest for corporate fraud, financial crimes, and conspiracy. Cold metal snapped around his wrists. No, he thrashed, panicked. You can't do this to me, he shouted. I am Alex Carter. Natalia watched, utterly unbothered. One of the officers grabbed Alex's shoulder, forcing him down. Alex locked eyes with her. He saw it then. The triumph, the victory. She had planned everything. She had been ahead of him from the very beginning. And now, she had destroyed him. Natalia leaned in one last time. Her breath was warm against his ear. Checkmate. Alex's entire world collapsed. The police dragged him away. And Natalia, she watched him go, smiling, because the king had fallen. And now, the game was over. Jasmine sat in her office, surrounded by case files and news articles. Her name was being spoken in legal circles with awe and respect. She had dismantled Alex Carter's empire, piece by piece, exposing every corrupt deal, every hidden contract, every financial crime he thought he had buried. And now, she was the most sought-after attorney in the city. A prestigious law firm had offered her a partnership. Her phone buzzed. A new case. Another woman. Another powerful man abusing his position. She smiled, rolling up her sleeves. Alex Carter was just the beginning. Mia stood on the balcony of her new apartment. It wasn't a penthouse, but it was hers, paid for with her own money, not Alex's. She had taken back everything he ever gave her and flipped it. Investments, stocks, a quiet withdrawal of funds before the banks froze his accounts. Now, she was financially secure, debt-free. For the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid. She didn't need a man to save her. She had saved herself. Sophia stood on the balcony of her quiet countryside home, the autumn wind rustling through the trees. Her hands rested on her growing belly. For months, she had wrestled with the truth. She had loved Alex Carter, loved him enough to ignore the warnings, the red flags, the lies. And now she carried his child. But unlike him, she understood what legacy truly meant. It wasn't about power or wealth or empire building. It was about love, family, redemption. She had considered telling him. There were nights she lay awake, staring at her phone, wondering if she should give him the satisfaction of knowing. But she didn't. He didn't deserve to know. Sophia exhaled, pressing a hand to her stomach, feeling the faintest kick beneath her fingers. Her child would never know the monster who fathered them. Only the mother who chose to love them, despite it all. With one last glance at the setting sun, Sophia turned and stepped inside, closing the door on the past forever. Emily sat across from a man at a candlelit restaurant, sipping her wine. He was charming, wealthy, smooth. She recognized the signs now, his casual touches, his calculated words, the way he looked at her like she was something to be owned. She set her glass down. You know what? She said, pushing her chair back. The man blinked. What? She smiled, but there was steel in it now. I'm not interested. She stood, tossed a few bills on the table, and walked out. She wasn't the same naive dreamer she had once been, and no man would ever play her again. Natalia sat at a private bar, a glass of red wine in her hand, watching the news coverage. The camera cut to prison transport vans. The headline scrolled across the screen. Alex Carter sentenced to 15 years in prison. She swirled her wine, a slow smirk curling on her lips. Isabella had been silenced forever, but now Alex Carter would have to live with what he had done. Justice had been served. Natalia raised her glass in a silent toast. Checkmate. Inside his cold prison cell, Alex Carter sat on a rusted cot, staring at the small, flickering TV. The screen played a segment on his downfall. Flashes of his former life, lavish parties, beautiful women, power, control. Now he was nothing. His reflection in the tiny shattered mirror looked unrecognizable. A guard passed his cell, muttering under his breath. Fucking Carter. Thought he was untouchable. Alex's hands clenched into fists. He had ruled New York once, and now he was just another prisoner. The screen cut to a final shot. Natalia, stepping into a black car, looking effortlessly victorious, and then a voice. Her voice, echoing in his mind. You never saw it coming.